everybody, and welcome back for my part 2 event of my movie review of Snow White and the Huntsman. So anyway, ladies and dudes, let's go on to the 5 best characters that I ever seen from this underrated dark fantasy film of all time called Snow White and the Huntsman. What else I could say? Okay, for the first character I really want to talk about is Snow White, played by Kristen Stewart, if I remember her name right. And yes, ladies and dudes, don't be mad at me about this. Yes, she is the lady who played Bella from that overrated book called The Twilight Saga. And to tell you the truth is, ladies and dudes, I'm not a big fan of the Twilight Saga because let's just say it's way too overrated for my taste, and it's too weird that there's a love triangle going on between a vampire and a werewolf. Well, you know, a human girl falling in love with a vampire and a werewolf, if you know what I mean. But what do I think about her as Snow White? I will say she did a pretty good job playing with a very beautiful character who has such grace and beauty, and she is truly the most fairest one of them all. I will say she had a very interesting storyline. I do love her personality. I love her attitude. She has lovely black hair and rosy red lips, and her skin is pure white as snow. I mean, she is a very lovely lady indeed. And my most favorite part about Snow White is definitely in the forest scene where Snow White wants to look around a little bit more and see the most brightful thing that she ever seen in this lovely place that involves trees and nature and purity. So many cute and interesting animals, and those cute little naked guys with the pointy ears and that white deer that has lots of horns in its head. This is where Snow White is starting to become a keeper of the peace for the forest. I mean, what will happen if Snow White should have lived in the forest instead of a kingdom where she can finally bring peace to these good animals and creatures where they can all live together in harmony? That's what I think about in the forest scene where it feels like that Snow White is right at home. This is a true, most wonderful place that she had truly belonged in a very nice, brightful forest that involves world peace. And I will love to see if Snow White will become a main peacemaker for the forest. I think she fits into that place very, very well. And since all the animals and the creatures had truly loved her for what kind of person that she really is. And yeah, I will say Kristen Stewart did do a pretty good job in this movie, and I have nothing else to say. So Snow White is a really good character overall. And the second character I want to talk about is the Evil Queen, played by Charlize Theron, if I remember right. It's so darn hard to pronounce her name. But what do I think about her as the Evil Queen? Oh yeah, I will say that Charlize Theron, she has the right to play a great villain. I mean, this is one of her best performances that she did so far in movie history. Yes, I do love her storyline. I love her personality and attitude. She's a very neat, evil queen who is so darn evil in so many ways. But sometimes I do feel kind of sorry for her. I mean, for what had happened in her flashback story. You know, when she was a little kid, she lost her mother. I think when her village got attacked by some evil people for some unknown reason. I don't know the whole story. But yeah, I do feel kind of sorry for her. Sometimes she does have a softness somewhere. Yeah, really hard for me to say, but yeah. Charmaine Farron, if I remember right, she did a pretty excellent job playing a very interesting character who was so darn evil. And yes, ladies and dudes, we all know that there's going to be a prequel called The Huntman, and that's going to come out pretty soon, so around 2016, if I remember right. And I really want to check out this Huntsman story. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting film. I hope this movie will be maybe 10 times better than this one. Oh yeah, and speaking of the Huntsman, let's go on to the Huntsman himself, played by the mighty Thor named Chris Hemsworth. I mean, that guy is pure awesomeness. No wonder that Chris Hemsworth played such a cool, memorable character in this movie. I mean, this guy has a really cool storyline. He has a great personality and attitude. He's such a bad A-word character. I love the part where he used his axe to attack bad guys or destroy birds or something like that. He's just an awesome character. And yeah, Chris Hemsworth did do a pretty good job playing a very headstrong character in this movie. And yes, I will let you know right now that he will come back and reprise his role as this awesome character. So we can get to know his storyline, the day when he met his wife and he married her, and the day when he lost her. I think The Huntsman, the prequel, is going to be a very interesting movie to see in the main future. Yep. That guy blew me away overall. And now let's go on to these other two characters I will tell you about is these two memorable dwarf characters that did blew me away in this movie. Okay, the first character I want to mention for one of the dwarves is this young dwarf named Gus. I mean, I love Gus to death. He is definitely one of the most sweetest and the most kindest characters that you will ever see in a fantasy movie. I mean, this guy really did blow me away, and he's such a sweetheart. And this is the reason why he's known as the bashful type of the group. Because Bashful is such a sweet and shy character. He's such a sweetheart in so many ways. And that's what Gus is. He's such a sweet and a kind, shy, honest dwarf who started to fall in love with Snow White in a pretty fast way. He thinks that Snow White is pretty darn special to him, and he really wants to be a dear friend to her in so many ways. Oh yeah, Guts. He's such a sweetheart, and it's a sad shame that he died in this film. It really does suck. It'll be too weird if Snow White and Gus ever became a love couple. Imagine that. Hard for me to say. And finally, ladies and dudes, let's head on to the last and final character I will talk about in this movie review. And that is a character named Mir, played by our late Bob Hoskins. It's a darn sad shame that we lost Bob Hoskins in such a bad period of time. And his character had truly blew us away. And this is one of the best memorable performances that Bob Hoskins will ever do in his last and final movie for his career. I mean, him as that elderly dwarf had truly blew me away. He is very kind, he's so sweet, so honest, so lovable, and I love every single dialogue that he said in this movie that truly blew me away. Even in that forest scene, he did say a couple of memorable lines here and there. And yeah, it's a sad shame. This is the final movie that Bob Hoskins is going to be in. And it's a darn sad shame that last year that we lost him. He just died from a very terrible disease. And he was like 67 years old or 68. I don't know his age. But yeah, it's so darn sad that we lost him in a short period of time. And we better thank Bob Hoskins for the great performance that he did for Snow White and the Huntsman. He had truly blown us away with his performance, and we will never forget all the good things that he had done for us so we could make him hard for me to say. So yeah, thank you, Bob Hoskins, for giving us a great performance, and we will never forget you, and you will always be one of the most best actors around. We love you, dude, and we will miss you. For you, Bob Hoskins. And here we go, ladies and dudes. Here's my final thoughts of Snow White and the Huntsman. Overall, the Snow White and the Huntsman is one of the best dark and greatest fantasy films of all time, and truly one of the most underrated dark fantasy films that we have ever gotten so far in movie history. The storyline is pretty darn interesting. The characters are likable. I love the special effects. I love the score. I love the costume designs, and I love every single sceneries and highlight moments that involve special effects. And for my rating for 1 to 10, I will give this movie a near perfect score of 9.5 out of 10. You had better watch this movie to believe it, and let's tribute this movie to our late Bob Hoskins. He will be forever missed. And there you go, ladies and dudes. That is my whole entire movie review of Snow White and the Huntsman. And I'm sorry if I mess things up here and there. And this will be my most hardest movie review that I will do so far. So please join me next time for my next movie reviews to come, like Third Person, The Great Mouse Detective, The Wind Rises, Ninja Scroll, Pokemon 3 the movie, and a couple of my good movie requests that came from my YouTube pals. I will do a movie review of Toy Story and Captain America, the First Avenger or whatever it's called. But anyway, be prepared for my next movie reviews to come, and I will see you all later. Sayonara!